Are Americans friendly? I'm a New Yorker. We're friendly people pretending to be assholes. We just don't have time to stop for everything and everyone. Yes, in the Midwest, well, talk your ear off about the weather and college football and how expensive it's getting at Taco Bell. You know, the important stuff. There are upwards of 350 million of them. Many of them will be friendly, many will be unfriendly. I will say that New York is the only city where I have been stood on a corner with a street map back before Google Maps, trying to get my bearings after ascending from the subway, and someone has come up and asked if I needed directions. Certainly a friendlier city than, say, Paris, where being rude to foreigners seems to be a pastime. I've been living in the USA for 6 months. I come from France. Before moving, I was a bit worried about interacting with Americans because most of my interactions came from Reddit, and most news from the US was about some crazy shit some crazy dude did. So I had this idea that a fair number of Americans were actually a bit crazy. Americans are incredibly nice. I've never met such friendly and warm people, which now I understand why they say French people are rude. We are not rude, we are just not as friendly. But by contrast, it may seem rude. They are very normal and not crazy, and very aware that there are some crazy people in the American media that gives a bad reputations to Americans. It varies wildly from region to region. It also depends on how you interpret friendliness vs politeness. I don't think they are necessarily the same thing. New York is just fast-paced and extremely diverse. People are trying to get somewhere and mostly they are just minding their own business. That can come off as rude, but I never had much problem interacting with New Yorkers when I had legitimate reason to be interacting with them. We're so friendly that a lot of foreigners think our niceness is fake or staged. It's okay to talk to people. I'm a southerner and I'm friendly. It's an exceptionally common experience for people to be supposed by the incredibly friendly and gregarious nature of Americans in person. Their media makes them look like the angriest cunts on the planet, but in person there is barely a more outgoing and personable bunch. As individuals, I'm continuously impressed by them each and every single time I am in the US. Don't confuse America the country with its myriad of issues and chaos with Americans the individual people. They are fucking legends. The old rule was that Americans are assholes abroad, but warm, friendly people at home. When I was in New York, an old woman insisted on buying my groceries and threw in a few extra things that non-American me should try. In Chicago, I was stranded in a warehouse district on a Sunday for 8 hours. The only other person I saw while waiting went home to collect his wife and kids, then returned to drive me 30 minutes to a more active station. In fact, I struggle to think of any negative experiences that didn't involve men in police uniforms. I've been to all 50 states, and 99% of people are friendly everywhere. Our news media is crass, our people are generally friendly. New York is friendly, just remember that go EFF yourself is a salutation. Oh, and sidewalks are used for travel, stopping in the middle of them is akin to stopping on the middle of Main Street in some smaller town. Just don't do it. In fact, if you remember anything about NY, it is to get the hell out of the way. 90% of the complaints about tourists is because they are always in the way. If you drop dead on the street, someone will call 911. Hell, the NYPD cameras probably already saw it and rolled an ambulance or a bus as they are known. Now, they may be doing that because your carcass is, in the damn way, but someone will help you. Yes, very friendly and polite, but distant and hard to get to know. The whole social dynamic of small talk is a way to be friendly and nice, but at the same time avoiding any close connection. It is very important to understand these nuances if you live in the US. I spend half my year in Los Angeles and the rest in my small hometown. The people in LA shock me with how rude they can be. My hometown is very different. Sure, there are still jerks, but for the most part it's a very respectful community. I live in a country Americans vacation in year-round, the Bahamas, and I've encountered two types of Americans my entire life. The first are the type that are on vacation, love everything, ask questions, and have fun. They are the ones who invite you to hang out, and sometimes if you get close, you get to travel to their home back in the US and they treat you like family. This accounts for like 75% of Americans I've met. The second type are the ones that are on vacation and don't care about you, just how you treat them, because they are American and expect to be treated like an overlord. And this is blacks and whites, men, women. They have outrageous requests and then get mad when you explain why it might not be possible. This only accounts for 25% of Americans I've met. I've met a few folks from NY throughout my lifetime and they just seem to be straightforward people. That straightforwardness is sometimes and often very funny. Or it's brash. So I guess it's a toss-up? I'm sure this is probably normal and nuanced across different nationalities, though BC, yes, my people have our good and our bad too. Overall though, I think Americans are really cool people. Generally, we Americans are considered too friendly. Some are, some aren't. The above principle applies to the population of the whole nation and even an area as small as a city block. New Yorkers and others from that region can be very friendly. Midwesterners are super friendly and nice. Southerners are extremely friendly. When I lived in Europe, the overwhelming belief was that Americans are friendly to the point it's weird. I'm Australian, and I've seen a lot of people say they can tell who's American in other countries because they are a lot friendlier, like smiling at people and being better at small talk, so I've always been under the assumption that they are a lot nicer. Southern people tend to be more friendly, but most Americans are friendly.